Hello everybody and welcome to Planet FPL, the world where everything revolves around Fantasy Premier League. It will do it in a couple of days again, James, when we get back to normal football.
Shit fucking weekend, wasn't it?
It's dull, yeah. Wasn't spectacular. Obviously no main podcast for everybody yesterday. Today's People's Poll, and people want us to talk about the transfer window.
Yeah, it's 3 options put up for vote. They're all quite close, actually. So the idea on these subjects were determined before Sunday's Project Big. What's it called? Big Project.
Big Picture.
Lick my balls.
Big Picture.
Fuck. Who signed off that title?
Mad things, because quite a few people I've noticed now, like the Leighton Orient chairman and what have you, are saying yes, and then quite a few people like my own club were saying no. So yeah, it just really it smacks as much. You know what it reminds me of? Mesut Ozil's announcement about Gunnosaurus. It's like he hasn't spoken to anyone, hasn't got sign off, hasn't really thought about it, but said, let me just go public straight away with something without really getting anybody's sign off at all.
This isn't going to happen, by the way. But the EFL clubs are obviously desperate for the bailout, which is completely understandable. What I think those who are in agreement with this, what they can't seem to look beyond is the fact, oh yeah, there's a load of money that will come and save them now, but the big six, or however it's going to be positioned, could kind of cancel that money at any time, because they'll have the power to say, well, actually, we're not going to give you the fucking money anymore. Mm-hmm. And nobody can seem to see that. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, listen, forget whatever's in it. There's some nice things in there, £20 cap for away tickets, minimum allocation of 10,000 or 8,000, 8,000, listen to me, 8% at stadiums. There's some safe standing, potentially some good things in there. But the idea that we could give the vote to the top 6 clubs to basically run the Premier League makes all of it a complete non-starter, and it cannot happen. I'm sure we will come back to this conversation. Suj. One of the things that was missing from this big picture project bullshit that we may have expected to be in there was the idea of B teams actually appearing in the EFL. This wasn't mentioned. There's a lot of higher up chairmen who have mentioned this as a potential idea that's getting resurfaced again. You guys didn't vote for that. It was also potentially after the weekend that's been going to have a discussion about international football. Do we actually give a shit? Suj can't remember the last time he even watched England.
I can.
Oh yeah, was it Sunday?
No, it was you and me together when it was the Bulgaria
game.
I think
the last time. That's a year.
I think since then I haven't watched a proper 90-minute sat down and watched it, other than maybe had it in the background or whatever.
Yeah, the idea of, are we behind the Nations League, etc. Is it right to get motivated by it? I flicked over with respect. Well done to Northern Ireland and Scotland, who won their playoff semi-finals, and unlucky to the Republic of Ireland, who lost theirs, all on penalties. I'd avoided the scores and watched the highlights, and I could have self-predicted that they'd all probably be draws, to be honest. Low scoring, exactly the opposite of what we're seeing in the Premier League at the moment. I mean, for the Republic, bless you, I got a lot of love for the Republic. I've got an Irish grandfather, so if there was a second national team, it's them. But I kind of know before I even watch them, it's 0-0, 1-0 or 1-1. It's a score every fucking game they play. That's not been voted in. What has been voted in is kind of our conclusion and wrap on the transfer window of the summer. And before we look at teams and who we perhaps think's had a good summer window and who hasn't, I want to bring these numbers to the table, Suj. So, money spent by Premier League clubs this transfer window currently. And it's worth saying, obviously, the EFL window is open until Friday, so this could increase. Premier League clubs have spent 1.26 billion. This window, during a pandemic, financial crisis, offering EFL bailouts, etc. No fans in the ground. They've spent £1.26 billion between them. Serie A, for comparison, 686 million.
Half.
Ligue 1, 385 million.
A quarter.
La Liga, 365 million.
Also a quarter.
The first summer transfer window in 40 years where Real Madrid have not spent any money. Bundesliga spent 290 million.
A fifth.
Portugal 130 million. Even Russia, we think there's some rich clubs in Russia, right? They've spent 106 million between them. 65 million spent in the Eredivisie, 54 million in Belgium, and only 30 million spent in Turkey's Superliga.
Go back a second here. Right. So who was 600,000?
million, you mean?
600 million.
So the second highest net spend per league is Serie A, £686 million spent.
Plus, what was the
you want to add them all up?
Yeah, I'm going to add them all up.
385 million. I mean, that basically combines to the Premier Leagues.
And not yet. Well, you said 1.2 billion.
Right, okay.
So add La Liga.
La Liga, 365 million.
365 million.
Well, it's got to be beating
That's
it now,
1.4 billion now.
Okay.
So we've done 3 of the other top leagues combined, just a little bit less than. Mad.
Good, isn't it?
Mad. I didn't realise it was that bad. You know what struck me, James, looking down the list? Because as much as we want to look at all the teams, who's done well, who's not done well, if we do that, will be another 2-hour podcast because there's 20 teams. How many loan signings are going out from all these clubs? If you actually go to the Premier League website, you can click on 2020 summer transfers. And you just look at it and you're like, what? Even clubs that don't have that big squads or that many, like Brighton.
Yeah.
How many players are going out on loan?
But more. I'm sorry, Chelsea fans, it's you that's going to come up again because it's some of the names that are out, like on loan, right? Names that we're familiar with, like Marco van Ginkel has been at Chelsea for, I think, 25 years. Has played for him about twice. Malang Sarr, they just brought in, has gone out on loan to Porto. Ruben Loftus-Cheek's gone out again. Timo Bakayoko's gone out again. Ross Barkley's gone out on loan. David Zappacosta. Lewis Baker has always been in and around the England under-21 team. Conor Gallagher's gone to West Brom. Michy Batshuayi's gone to Crystal Palace. Ethan Ampadu's gone to Sheffield United. There's a shitload of fucking youngsters on top of that as well. But loans, yeah, that's worth talking about. And I'd tell you why it's worth talking about, because of Gareth Bale a little bit as well. So I am dead against, generally speaking, loan signings, unless, of course, it benefits my club and Gareth Bale's walking in the door. And I think we all feel a little bit like that. Is that I'm always a little bit uncomfortable of the idea, perhaps it's big club perspective, the perspective that we're getting a player in and doesn't belong to us. But nobody, Gareth Bale's a rare case where everyone at Tottenham at the moment feels like Gareth Bale's a Tottenham player, essentially. Nobody's thinking that he's not coming with the line Gareth Bale on loan from Real Madrid. Right now, it's like Gareth Bale's playing for Tottenham this season. It'll be what it will be in 6 months' time or whatever. Take the case of Jedson Fernandez, who's been on an 18-month loan from Benfica. And Tottenham have just got Carlos Vinicius in on a loan from Benfica as well. Jedson Fernandez has not been named in Tottenham's Europa League squad, such as his lack of importance to that squad. And it would cost Tottenham money to send him back to Benfica, rather than it would cost them more than what they're going to pay Jedson in wages this year. So the poor lad's going to sit there in fucking limbo.
Yeah.
Loans should be about development of players and obviously helping lower league clubs. That's how it's always been perceived. I think that's the English mentality to it. Now we are getting loans like Gareth Bale, Odion Ighalo, Manchester United, for example, where it's big transfers between, let's say, two financially stable football clubs. And a lot of it comes down to, because of wages, the transfer fee on top of the wages just makes deals almost non-existent.
Yeah,
you can't. I think what you're going to end up getting is a lot of kind of player trading that becomes almost free. So like Alexis Sanchez has joined Inter Milan permanently following his loan there, and I'm not sure any money's even been exchanged. I think United have just gone, just fucking take him, for God's sakes. It's probably what Arsenal have been trying to do with Mesut Ozil as well.
Yeah, I mean, Alexis's wages were even bigger than Ozil's from memory, right? Was he close to $500,000 a week?
Oh, Alexis Sanchez was on like 500 grand a week or something. Yeah.
Incredible numbers. Let's run down some of these teams and see. We'll try and keep it snappy with all of them. Otherwise, we could talk about every single player.
We won't go through all the clubs, but I think, like, who do you think? Oh, you've had a great window. That's probably better. Let's pick out some who's had good windows and those who've had bad.
Chelsea, without a shadow of a doubt.
So why Chelsea?
Because of the players,
28 players out on loan or something.
The players they've bought in, and it's very easy for us to say, look, they've had a bad start to the season. But if you look at the squad that they have, the first 11, and even the depth behind it, I think they're building a squad that has a good few years in it. They've bought young players. They haven't bought old players. Werner, Ziyech, Chilwell is probably one of the oldest, right? But Havertz and so on. Thiago Silva is a short-term problem, but I don't think Chelsea.
I don't know if it's a problem.
Sorry, short-term solution is what I meant to a long-term problem. But I think they have in Tomori possibly a centre half that could break through and become
the
decent.
Tomori who they were desperate to loan to West Ham.
Well, I don't know if they were
of the deadline.
desperate to loan him out, but I think they'd rather loan him out than have him sit in the reserves. But he's a good player, Tomori. I don't have a problem with him.
Talent.
Mendy as well. I don't know enough about him as a goalkeeper, but they've thought
all you know is he's better than Kepa and Caballero.
That's not hard. I think Chelsea have gone and done some good business.
I'll be honest. Yes, of course they've spent quite a bit of money, and it's worth always reminding that they didn't spend anything last summer, etc. It's kind of 2 windows combined for them. I mean, the stick out one for me is Everton.
Yeah.
In terms of positive window, purely because they absolutely addressed the issues with Decore, James Rodriguez and Allen, that's exactly what they needed. They needed a holding midfield player that was going to stop teams breaking through lines against them. They needed energy in that midfield, that someone could get box to box. Abdoulaye Doucouré can play multiple midfield roles and play them all very well. And James Rodriguez gives them the creativity and the sprinkling of gold dust, right? And they haven't spent fortunes to get these guys either. They've also bought, which none of us have seen yet, is obviously Ben Godfrey's come in from Norwich, who's a player I really like, actually. I think he's got a lot of potential.
Gives them a bit of depth there, which they needed.
They've actually got a backup goalkeeper now, Robin Olsen in from Roma, who could put pressure on Jordan Pickford. I can't say I know him particularly, but those who are in the know seem to think he's shit as well. But the other one to mention is Nielsen Kunku, who's played in the Carabao Cup games. And Everton fans really like what they've seen, actually, from him so far. So that obviously gives competition to Luca Dean in the left-back position. So I feel like they've had a really, really good window, Everton. They've also managed to get some players out the club that were there kind of hanging about doing nothing. So Umar Niasse is gone, Kuko Martina, Morgan Schneiderlin's been released, Leighton Baines obviously had a super career at Everton, was probably on quite big wages. Martin Stekelenburg is gone, Theo Walcott's gone to Southampton on loan, Sandro Ramirez has left, Moise Ken's gone on loan to PSG, which is one of the Again, it's a loan. It's an odd one.
You can't make it at Everton, but you're going to make it at PSG.
He's going to sit on the bench at PSG instead of sit on the bench at Everton. It's these sort of deals do make you suspicious about some of the money transactions in football, must be said. So I think Everton are the standout ones for me, who I think have had a great window because they've not gone mad, but they've fixed the problems. And it already feels like that when Ancelotti gets to a next window, he'll be identifying now rather than fixing the problems. And he's bought good players in to fix these problems. It's not just I've got someone better. He's bought some very good players here. I think like next he'll be looking to attack at it and go, what makes us a lot better now? Or not bother. So, for example, I would think Seamus Coleman's had a wonderful career at Everton and has played quite well. He's a doubt for the weekend and played quite well during this start of the season period. But I think right back, improvement at centre back, although it could be that, for example, Godfrey and Mina in time, or Godfrey and Michael Keane might make a very good partnership in time. But the obvious one's goalkeeper, right? You're going to go and get a fucking goalkeeper. That's the next thing they're going to do.
Yep.
So already from a position of going, they're weak in a lot of areas, you really look at it and go, that's what they're doing next.
Yep.
Good window for Everton.
Yeah, no doubt about it. What about teams that have had not good windows, do you think?
The one that stands out is Burnley, for me.
Burnley haven't been particularly good.
Because they haven't done anything. I mean, obviously, they've got Dale Stevens in. They've bought a third choice. I don't even have to bought him. Probably free transfer, third choice goalkeeper in Will Norris from Wolves. You could say, they've got like Joe Hart off the wages. They lost Jeff Hendrick to Newcastle. Aaron Lennon's been released. I wouldn't say their squad is in a stronger position than what it was before window.
Agree with you on that. That's the problem for Burnley.
And because a lot of other clubs have still been spending money, there's not many other clubs in the Premier League you look at the moment and think they are weaker. So like we could all say, a lot of us all say Manchester United have had a bad window, right? Because they didn't get Sancho, didn't add players defensively.
I wouldn't say so.
But the squad is still stronger than what it was
with Telles,
3 months ago.
Cavani, Van der Beek.
exactly.
and so on. They're definitely stronger. They're not playing well right now, but they're definitely stronger.
That's why Burnley, I think, stand out. That said, they've got players coming back from injury. I don't know the status on Ben Mee. They have held hold of James Tarkowski. They do have covering goal in the fullback areas across the midfield when everybody's fit. It's imperative they can get one of Goodmanson or Robbie Brady on the pitch regularly. And actually, quietly, they do have some depth. I just feel like they haven't improved anything. And I never feel like they will, with respect. I feel like they're there at the moment. And that's okay. Burnley have become very good at just being there, basically. I think they're one of the clubs that are in more of a financial predicament than a lot of the other clubs, and that's clearly why they haven't spent. I can't even remember really even being linked to, or they're looking at that player in the Championship to improve in the wide areas, or something up front with Chris Wood that would be better. Just not really even seen them linked with players.
I was originally a little concerned with Fulham's business as well, because they didn't seem to have done much. And there were a few players that did come in. I mean, Dara, our Fulham correspondent, talked about Harrison Reed being a good base at the in the midfield, and they got him back on loan. They've got a new goalkeeper in Areola. We don't know enough about him, but then they have gone and picked up Loftus-Cheek. Lookman hasn't made it yet, but maybe he might be half decent. Tete. So there's a few that have come in with a little bit of Premier League experience, but not enough that you'd think that they've done enough business to stay up. But also, are they just simply working? And even you could say the likes of West Brom, right? They picked up Grady from us at a decent enough price. But are both of these clubs taking the view that whatever, if we don't, we're not going to
West Brom.
Yeah, we're not gonna splash out 50, 60, 70 million, the likes of what Aston Villa did last year when they first came up. I mean, they were topped 100, didn't they?
Yeah.
And if we go down, we go down, but at least we go down without a massive black hole in our finances.
I think like Leeds came up with the idea and the kind of preconception. It should have come up the year before, right? The idea that they were going to come up and wanted to be a bit more, that they would have taken 17th probably. Leeds fans won't admit that now, but pre-season, if I'd have offered them 17th, a lot of them would have taken it, just stay up this year. But I think the idea was always to be better than that. With Fulham and West Brom, it does feel like, okay, worst case, we go back down. Let's make sure we're in a strong enough to come back again. Unfortunately, West Brom have been a yo-yo club generally for quite long periods. With Fulham, though, interestingly, when you actually look at the players they've bought, a lot of them do improve the team. So Anthony Robinson could well become the regular at left back, for example. Lamina we haven't seen any of. He can be a moody bastard, but I actually think he's a good player when he's on it. Harrison Reed, Dara spoke to us in the summer about his importance to Fulham, but I think he needs a bit more physicality in players around him, like Anguissa. Areola is an upgrade in goal. Dara said that as well. Kenny Tete.
Yeah, I mean, the same. But Dara did say that he thought Rodak was a good FPL pick at the start of the season. For
to
points,
be fair,
so.
he hasn't said Areola's a good pick now.
Yeah.
Tete and Ola Aina basically are competing for the right back position. Lookman gives them some energy in wide areas.
Yeah.
And Joachim Anderson and Tosin Adarabioyo, who's coming from Manchester City, I think will go on to be the first choice centre back pairing, and we haven't seen them play yet. So we don't know if that's good or bad. And Ruben Loftus-Cheek is very proven at this level, right?
There's plenty of people that wanted
we can't believe that they've got him.
I still, it's amazing. I feel like you've just done a sales pitch on them. Yet I just have no faith in them being able to turn it around.
No, I still think they'll get relegated. But what I'm saying is, once that settles down, that's potentially 9 new players in the team, and then it's not what you were looking at from game week 1 against Arsenal, which was exactly the same team. So it does need a little bit of time. Whereas with West Brom, the guys they've got in are essentially all the guys that they needed to get in who helped get them promoted last year.
They turned the loans into perms.
Pereira, Diangana, Callum Robinson, Filip Krovinovic. These guys were obviously pivotal in terms of helping them get up last year, and they've come in. Other than that, there's not a lot new other than Cedric Kipre's coming from Wigan, who's a very tall defensive centre-half. Conor Gallagher's a young player, attacking player from Chelsea, and Branislav Ivanovic, who people are very familiar with, who obviously was a great player at Chelsea, but is he in his 40s now? I don't know. Be interesting to see how he looks in the Premier League now. So actually, comparing West Brom and Fulham,
quite different.
It almost feels like there's more potential in Fulham now, because the team has some freshness.
Yeah,
Whereas West Brom really does look and
feel like last year's team.
To be honest, yeah, and it's worth saying that team was a bit better than Fulham's team from last year.
I mean, Leeds is pretty much the same team as last year right now as well.
Crawled over the line to get promoted, West Brom.
Yeah, the second half of the season.
We spoke about it. Was it 8 wins in the last 23 in the Championship? So look, I don't think anybody's going to sit here at the moment and say, "Oh, I think West Brom or Fulham's going to stay up." But actually, it's going to be really interesting the next few weeks to see how these Fulham boys settle in. They might have some good signings in there actually once it settles.
What happened to the richest club in the league in Manchester City? Because by all intents and purposes, last season they had their worst season in a long time. To come away with just the League Cup is more than your club or my club, let's be honest. But they were miles behind Liverpool. They in the end got taught a lesson in the Champions League, but then quite a few clubs did, let's be honest. But they flopped out of that, and even the FA Cup they didn't have what it took to get it over the line. So you'd have thought, being the way that they are, they would have fixed some of the problems that they had. And centre back Otamendi's gone now. Okay, Company's been a while that he's left, and they just haven't been able to get it right. Laporte was injured last year, but Ake. Diaz?
Ruben Diaz is going to be Laporte's partner.
Does it feel like...
That feels a lot better than Stones and Otamendi or whatever combination they were putting on the Fernandinho at centre half. That any of that is better than the combination they're having last year. I just feel like to get that right, having spent 80 odd million on Diaz and Ake, I might even be underestimating that. I mean, 40 million for Ake as a backup's madness. But they needed to do that because what's beneath it is shit. Guardiola obviously doesn't trust John Stones, who largely played quite well at Wolves in game week 2, but then had defensive moments where for 10 minutes he just went in the second half, then he recovered again. That's why Guardiola just can't trust him. I feel like when you break it down with City, that something's gone attacking. I know what it is. It's the guy in the picture behind me. So Leroy Sané's gone to Bayern Munich, and obviously I've lost David Silva as well.
And
now, Phil Foden obviously is essentially being primed to be that David Silva replacement. But I just feel like they're missing something, that natural drive and pace. And you and I have always long held the belief that City were a better team with Sané in the team, right? Unstoppable when he gets going. And no doubt he'll return to fucking beast mode at Bayern Munich, by the way. I just feel like they're missing something. Something offensively feels like it's missing. Now, admittedly, Aguero and Jesus injured is quite a big deal. But I mean in the wide areas, in the attacking mid areas.
They should be able to reinforce that area. United had that problem, and we laughed when they went and got Ighalo in January as a short-term loan signing, but they went and did something. You'd have thought that City would have at least filled that gap with a loan signing.
Ferran Torres has come in from Valencia, and he does look a decent player. But I don't think Man City are looking for decent players, are they?
No, they're looking for world class.
To be honest, when someone signs for Man City, you're almost judging them on the "are you going to be world class" level. Is how you. If Ferran Torres had joined, I don't know, Everton, you might be going, "Oh, he looks a good player," but at Man City, you're just not judging him that way, right?
No.
Yeah, something's missing offensively. But yes, it could be that Aguero or Jesus come back in the team and. If they go to the way that I think their best team is, which is Sterling left, Mahrez right, Foden and De Bruyne behind the front man, Rodri sitting quite significantly deeper, then I think that looks a lot better for Manchester City and it's fine. But then actually strip that away, the depth is not what we're used to.
No.
It's worth saying that there's something's... Obviously, you've got Bernardo Silva to add to that and Ferran Torres, but there's not a lot else offensively in those attacking mid positions, actually.
What about your club and my club? You happy with... I know you're happy because if you think about it, when we did a Tottenham for the patrons a while ago, you were speaking about the transformation in the squad and now being able to say that you've almost got 2 players for every position, if not more, and strength and depth, and a well-balanced squad that you're going to need because you're in a hell of a lot of competitions with a hell of a lot of games. But yeah, cover for Ben Davies is there now. Because Danny Rose isn't
a fucking upgrade on Ben Davies is there now.
a replacement for Ben Davies, but Ben Davies is now cover. You've got 2 right backs that are okay as well. Holding midfield has been sorted. Another attacking threat in Gareth Bale.
Up forward for Harry.
Yeah.
I mean, very positive window for us. I mean, the really positive thing about Tottenham's window is identifying problems and just going and acting on it. And actually, as I said to you on one of the Tottenham pods, acting on it in terms of by priority.
Yep.
Have to get a central midfield player, got it. Have to get another right back, got it. Then looked at things offensively. So yeah, very pleased with our window.
Puts you back in a real contenders for top 4. Whereas before it could have been a real hit and miss. I think now you really have to.
Gareth Bale single-handedly makes us back in contention for top 4 as long as he stays fit, right? Guy will win a fucking football match on his own. So, of course, I mean, I'm absolutely convinced that some of the results recently are part to do with him. I just think it's just uplifted everybody from a mad. I mean, those who listen regularly will know what my mood was like after the Everton game. It's like the season was already finished.
Yeah,
it's fucking dead. And then within a week, we've bought Gareth Bale and we're scoring 5 at Southampton, and that's it. Everything's changed. Manager deserves mass credit. It's not to be done on this podcast now. But generally speaking, yeah, good window. No one's left who shouldn't have left, basically. Even, Ryan Sessegnon going out on loan. He's a major positive. Same with Oliver Skipp, who's gone to Norwich. Troy Parrott, who's injured at the moment, has gone to Millwall. These guys need to go and play football and improve. So, yeah, very decent window for my team.
Whereas mine have been particularly quiet.
Craig Dawson. Brap, brap.
Yeah, well, we've got... again,
loan.
You talk about a loan sign-in.
What's the point? Just give him £1 million or something. What's the point?
I suppose from Watford's point of view, it's all about getting him off the wage bill. I mean, what other reason do they particularly have? He's not going to get in our team ahead of Ogbonna and ahead of Diop. So again, he's been bought as backup. But
really?
Yeah.
Oh, I think you'd be wrong there.
Do you think so?
Yeah, he'll get in your team, mate.
I don't think so.
He'll get in your team.
I can't see him. If we're playing 3 at the back, would I rather have Dawson than Creswell as a makeshift third centre-half? Then sure. If we're playing 2 at the back, I think Bonner and Diop have got those shirts. I don't see.
I think it's worth saying Dawson would probably be better suited to a back 4. But yeah, no, I think he'll get in there actually.
I'm not so convinced. I don't see anything from Diop and Ogbonna that say that they should be dropped for Craig Dawson.
I tell you what, Dawson will bring to that central defensive is natural leadership, which the other guys might be missing a bit. Yep. They're all relatively inexperienced, the other guys. But I mean, Ogbonna's quite experienced now.
I think Souček becoming permanent was one of those deals that was on the cards, but I would have never put it past my club to fuck it up. So getting that across the line was good. Shout out to Ollie Anderson, who is a regular listener, whose wife is from the Czech Republic and has told me that it's pronounced Tsufal, Tsa. Instead of a C, it's a Ts. So he's.
Oh, it's not Kufal.
Nah, or
Tsufal.
Ts.
Hasn't he got?
Pretend like you're beatboxing.
He's got COVID, hasn't he?
Nah, Tsufal.
Are you not sure? I think he's got COVID, mate.
Nah, he said he put a tweet out saying that he hasn't got COVID.
Oh no, you're right. He denied it. Yeah,
everyone said that he's got COVID, and he put a tweet out saying that whatever you've read is bull. I've not got COVID. And that's it. And then obviously Craig Dawson on loan. So it's been quiet. But then now the rumour is that Benrahma's not coming because we can't agree personal terms.
Yeah, it's still going to happen.
Do you think so?
Yeah.
I think
he's not in the country at the moment, so that doesn't
makes
fucking help.
Makes it a little bit more difficult, as X said on his Twitter feed. I feel like if he puts in difficult personal demands and the club say no, then I'm fine with that.
This all happened with Jared Bowen as well. Because Jared Bowen didn't want the lowering of wages if he went down.
Or whatever.
And it's probably shit like that.
Yeah. Right? The other thing was obviously Tomori. We didn't agree to him getting guaranteed minutes. I think from what I'm seeing, when deals are not working, it's because the club aren't backing down and doing stupid things, which I'm fine with. So if Benrahma doesn't happen, we're not desperate for him that we need a creative attacking midfielder stroke striker. So don't make the mistake of trying to get players in because you feel like you need to, that a lot of clubs do. And so yeah, it's not been the best transfer window, but I also think I'd rather that than when we've dropped 40 million in previous summers on the likes of Haller and Anderson, and then it doesn't always work out.
Josh King is definitely going to join a Premier League club in the next couple of days.
Yeah,
and I would say it could almost be any of the 20. But you're the team that's getting linked with him the most. Yeah,
I think a lot of people are saying is if Benrahma doesn't happen, then we go back for Josh King, as opposed to it could be one or two of both. So
Josh King is definitely going to join a Premier League club this year.
Yeah, I feel
of
yeah.
it. Well, they'd agreed deals with overseas clubs, and apparently he's just waiting his time for the best selection of the Premier League clubs. So, yeah, someone, if it's only going to be like 13, 15 million, someone will pay it.
Yeah.
It might even be like it's a West Brom or something. Someone will pay it.
Yeah.
Just shout out to a few of the others. Obviously, Wolves have had a lot of incomings and outgoings this year. Obviously, Jota and Doherty, very surprising ones. They've obviously replaced well in the likes of Nelson Semedo. They've brought the young boy Fabio Silva, who can cover up front. Defensive replacements on the left-hand side. A lot of them to be confirmed, essentially. On Southampton, just a name that we haven't spoken about. I just want to mention very briefly, Ibrahima Diallo in from Brest in Ligue 1 is a name that is probably we haven't mentioned yet. He's going to offer decent midfield cover for them, essentially, in competition for Romeo and Ward-Prowse, where it looked like they didn't have a lot of competition in that area. So is one to keep an eye on. I think Newcastle have had a decent window, actually, bizarrely enough.
Yeah, I think
no major outgoings. Fraser, Lewis, Wilson in. It's okay. Again, they're another one who I haven't done a lot, but it's stronger than what it was.
Oh, without doubt. And Hendrick, don't forget Hendrick as well. I think gives them a bit of midfield depth.
He's only got 1 goal, 1 assist left in him for the rest of this season. Arsenal have obviously bought Thomas Partey in midfield, who is capable of multiple functions. It'll be really interesting to see how he fits in, but again, improves them. We haven't spoken about Villa, and we should.
They've done well.
They've bought 5 players. When you look through the list of Premier League clubs that have signed players, almost all of them have got players in there. You're like, I don't know who that is, but you've bought them. Okay. Villa's nice, clear and simple. Matty Cash, Ollie Watkins, Emi Martinez, Bertrand Traore, Ross Barkley, and all 5 of them improved that starting 11.
Oh, massively. Villa are looking like a very good team, and now...
And held on to Grealish.
If you'd have said to me last year, I thought Villa might end up becoming a yo-yo club. I know they've got a long-established history in the top flight of British football, English football, but I didn't see their squad last year as one that's going to settle in the Premier League now for the long haul. I think what I'm seeing now is a team that are going to lay some roots in the Premier League for a long time. So yeah, I like the look of what the business that Villa have done.
It's an interesting one to follow. We might be looking and judging them very shortly as a top half team.
Yeah.
We also might not be.
Alongside Leeds as well. I think that the two of
Leeds, I think, are the better of the two.
Yeah, we just talk about well-established clubs from back in the day that are now
Leeds,
coming back.
Leeds have also said Leeds are going to have like a month where they don't win. You go, fuck me, they've gone to pot. I'm absolutely convinced they'll have that at some stage.
Palace.
Eze's a good sign-in. The squad feels like it's got a little bit more cover up front and a little bit more youth and enthusiasm. They've not started too badly considering all the defensive injuries they've had. PVA's back in training, it's worth saying, for Tyrick Mitchell owners, and the other guys at centre half are very close as well, so that should put them in a better place. Their fixture run's actually one of the better ones for teams coming up. I still think they'll be in trouble. As I said on one of the pods last week, I think you reflect on them Southampton and Manchester United wins now and understand why they happened.
Yeah.
Rather than thinking at the time they're both great results. And they were great results, but you can almost understand why they happened now.
Indeed you can. A little rundown on the transfer window for everybody as we gear up towards game week 5.
I need to do something with my fucking chair because it keeps fucking
James
shrinking.
needs a new chair in the studio, so if you want to sign up to our Patreon, head over to patreon.com/planetfpl. Apart from all the Slack and all that kind of stuff, yes, you got Slack channels, you got prize leagues, etc., etc. James needs a new chair. Actually, we've got hundreds, well, not hundreds, but we've got tens kicking around in the other office, so we'll find James a new chair. So do it, yeah. If you want more content, head over to Patreon. If not, stick on our regular podcast platforms, iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, wherever you're listening. We'll be back at you tomorrow with Sky Fantasy Football for all the Sky FF players. Overhaul time, revealing our two teams.
Are we?
Are you not done yet?
I'm very close, yeah.
All right, so 95% revealing our teams.
We're going to reveal it tomorrow and then Harry Kane will get injured Wednesday night.
Yeah.
We'll change it again.
There was always a potential of that situation arising. On Thursday, we have Clash of the Correspondents. We have Chelsea, Southampton, isn't it? It's Ali and Ted on. So do stay tuned for that. And we'll see if Ted is as upbeat as he was at the start of the season. Ali was pretty upbeat at the start of the season as well from a Southampton point of view.
Tottenham's 5 goals might have beat him back down a bit. We'll see how he feels about that.
And on Friday, of course, James will be doing a live stream asking for your questions. Most importantly, as COVID rises, stay safe wherever you are, please, listeners. Ciao for now.
Thanks, everyone. Cue music, please, man child.